I love that.
Excellent.
You don't know what you're doing.
Damn, that intro gets me every time. Welcome, everybody, to an all-new episode of Much to Do About Nothing. This will not be a very long episode. This is kind of to wrap up everything that was said during this Warner Brothers investors call. Like, right? Trayvon, investors call, right? That's pretty
Yeah.
much
So
all
you
it
know
was.
what's funny? You know what's funny about this? Look, so my shirt says that's all. That's all, folks. That's all playing. I did not do it intentionally, but, but it was
I
still
will
funny.
say when Mike sent that, I laughed for like an hour. I was just like, oh, that is fucking hilarious. No, so in this short episode we're doing, we'll just be breaking down, kind of trying to help make sense of it all, like we tried to the other day. This did not necessarily help things at all. It actually made
Kinda made it
our
worse.
last stream even. Yeah, I was gonna say it made our last stream even more confusing. But Joel will join us in a second. But joining me right now is Trayvon. What's up, Trayvon?
Happy to be here. Happy to talk about this. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, kind of, revenue focused. I guess you could say.
I mean,
I guess.
to me, I can't be too upset about what this call was because it's exactly what an investor's call would be, right? Where you're kind of just telling the people that put money into you, hey, this is what we're going to do going forward that will generate you all more money. Unfortunately, we wanted to believe that this was going to be something that made us feel more confident in what was happening. And it did not.
Yeah, consumers are still going to get kind of shafted a little bit. So
yeah,
sounds like so. Looks like they're already starting to with not putting movies on HBO Max like they do so frequently now. So
yeah, so Processor has a 10-year. I mean, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that 10-year plan, right? I was just saying this to Mike. It's cool when you say you have a 10-year plan and what you've been doing. I feel I have faith in, right? But when the first thing you do is throw away a movie that you spent $90 to $95 million to make with $20 profit, I then have to say to myself, can I trust whatever your fucking plan is going forward? Because that wasn't a good start, right? And then you saying things like, we only put out movies we feel we have faith
believe in. That we believe in.
Yeah, that we believe in. Thank you.
That
is a really fucking shitty thing to say.
Like, or the diverse thing he kept saying. I was like, diverse, but you just cancel what? It doesn't make any sense.
Essentially, I feel as though, again, like I said to start this, welcoming in now. What's up, bro?
What's up?
So what's very confusing about what we were just saying, Trayvon, is the idea that, again, this call was not meant for us. It wasn't to make us feel good. It wasn't to give us a sense of, necessarily to have all the faith in the world going forward. It's essentially just to make. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said unless you're a consumer and an investor.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Unless you are invested in the future of Warner Discovery, this call was only for people that get money, essentially, from investing in them, right? So, and I think we get spoiled because when Disney has their investor calls, they're saying shit that we're like, yeah, okay, fuck yeah, let's do it. And then this was essentially just a money call, right?
And we believe Disney. That's the problem.
Right. So this is more.
Well, we believe the actual stuff is going to come out that they say. That's the problem. Like,
or necessarily just more so the vision, right? It's more just like we get the vision. Even Star Wars that's had a couple of bumps. We just believe in the brand, right? More so than anything. So to me, I kind of just felt like he kept talking in circles at different points. I'm going to be very clear. I only listened to David. I did not listen to anything else. I will not speak on anything else. I'll allow Joel and Trayvon to shed light on other things. But I only listened to David, and it got really confusing the more he kept just saying shit. I was telling Mike, like, when he specifically made it sound like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman was a pure focus. Not even saying DC, just saying Batman,
that's what he
Superman,
said.
and Wonder Woman was just like, all right, okay. Bring that up one more time, Mike.
The problem with that, the way you took that, is that you wouldn't make DC its own studio if that was the case.
Regardless if the film was good or bad, I want the artist to share his vision of what they want and let the fans decide. So, okay, so I'm gonna pass this off. But that was my biggest gripe of everything, was just the idea of, it feels like apparently it didn't test well, and it feels like it's a reaction to how it tested. But to me, that is never a proven ground. It's not. That's why I say I don't go by a movie's success on whether or not it made money. Was it a good movie? Because not all good movies make all the money in the world. So to me, if you have a test screening of 15 people and they all go, I didn't like it, my question then is, who the fuck are these 15 people? Because if you bring in people that have never heard of a Batgirl, a Batman, a Firefly, they could care less about this character. They're looking at it purely from a sense of, did it entertain degree, right? And I've always believed that your fan base can fuel you making money just off of being a fan base, right? Like, you don't necessarily need the entire globe. You need us, and we'll get the entire globe to join it, right? So if you're going by people sat in a room and said, I didn't like it, can we maybe have a say in that? Like, I would have paid money to go see this. Are confusing the heck out of me. I heard the screenings were positive at first. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
From what for the stuff that was coming out before this, they kept saying that it costs a lot of money to change it from a streaming movie to a theatrical one. Like, the cost to change it was not plausible for them. So that's why they say, you know what, let's just, apparently they're not going to show it, because if you don't show it on either one, they can put it as like a tax write-off.
Yeah, tax write-off, but then we can never do it.
Right, we can never see it. Yeah.
But that was the problem me and Mike were having. You made it a tax write-off, but essentially all you got back was $20 million. Mm-hmm. So it's like a movie you spent $90 to $95 million. If you had actually put it out, it would have at least doubled that.
I don't see it.
Go ahead, Trayvon.
But it sounds like they are, like I was saying earlier, they're very theatrical driven. So it sounds like they don't want to just put movies on.
No, that's why.
No.
It will cost so much to put it in theatrical. They said no, it'll cost way more to do that than just not put it out at all. So I don't know that. I
completely get what you guys are saying. I'm just saying that specific movie would have given you a return, a positive return, right? Now, if you're telling me you're leading with Wonder Twins, I could say that might be a gamble, right? Yeah. I don't really know. Yeah. I know comic book fans that aren't really that interested in the Wonder Twins, right? So it's like that might be the one that you wait a little bit till you're established and then you start doing weird new things. But Batgirl, with Keaton coming back as Batman, you didn't have any faith in that? But a Flash movie with Michael Keaton,
and they mentioned it too.
Affleck, they mentioned it. That's what I'm saying. You have all the faith in the world in that, and I'm like, I don't understand the separation of the two.
I watched Camp A yesterday, and he was talking about it, and he said he also heard that the Batgirl movie got really bad reviews, and that Frosty also heard it got bad reviews, and that was obviously one of the main reasons that they dumped it. They heard that the Flash has been getting really good reviews, and so did whatever his name is. So I'm like, and that's obviously almost 2 times the budget of what Batgirl is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not, and that is actually literally a movie that's going to transition you to a new timeline, right? It's a bigger movie overall. That's why I'm like comparing the two. But Batgirl should probably. It's not in. To me, the thing is, I don't know what the plan is. If their plan is we have a different idea of where to go next, which just seems like that's the case. They just cut that right out. And right now, they didn't mention Blue Beetle. during this
It
thing.
did not.
Well,
They
I'll
need
say
to
this,
let
Joel.
Aquaman too. To be fair,
Eric Davis
That's
put
true,
this
they
out.
didn't.
Eric Davis just put this tweet out. And the tweet says Zaslav cited Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman while talking about DC. Figure
There
that
you
10-year strategy will revolve around these characters at its core, with other characters like Joker worked into the mix. We have done a reset, he said.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, is this a DC reset saga? But my problem with that is reset is not a, when it comes to the superhero world, it's not a bland term, right? Like, it means two different things. There is a soft reboot and a hard reboot, right? So when you just say reboot, it's like, well, that could mean two different things. And I don't think it harms anything by just coming out and saying just a soft reboot, right? So we're like, okay, just a few things are going to be tweaked, but overall what we see is what we got going forward. But when you just say reboot, it's like, well, or reset, I'm sorry, reset. It's like, well, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, to us, when you say reset, I'm like, well, should we look forward to multiversal stuff? Should we look forward to the main continuity? Or is all that changing? You know what I'm saying? So, Joel, when you hear things like that, what do you think? And what were some of the things that stood out to you that was said today?
So there were so many things that stood out to me because I didn't know what to expect going into it. Aside from like, hopefully they address the whole Batgirl cut and the whole HBO, because the world was falling. Like, again, it's all like HBO Max is gonna die. And to me, that's not what I got out of this call. It seems like they're doing what we expect. A lot of the shit that came out today was mostly stuff we've already heard. That they're gonna merge with Discovery Plus. The HBO Max Discovery Plus is gonna be together. They gave us information on what that's gonna look like. Told us when, so it's gonna be sometime next summer. So it's gonna be a little bit before it happens. They have a different strategy going forward with DC. And look, the best part about it is that it all sounds great.
My power might go out. Just letting y'all know.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. So,
but wait, Trayvon said it like it was in response to Warner Brothers. Like, hey.
it's funny. It's this global powerhouse on the thing, too. It's funny.
This was so crazy to me. Like, the 90 Days of Fiancé universe threw me, like, so far.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
Well, what confused me the most is that you have to separate brands and franchises. Like, DC is a brand and a franchise. So to me, it's like, what the fuck do you have in Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman? I can't just find in the DC tab. That to me, I thought was just like, what?
DC is a brand, but the franchises are underneath or inside DC. So Batman, that's the thing about DC. Like these, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are their own franchise. They can keep going. Like right now, Aquaman is his own franchise as well, and so is the Flash. Technically, I mean, it's just we're not there yet.
Harry Potter's a brand. You can move that up.
The Wizarding World.
100%.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't like that they mentioned those three like that. I don't like that. I don't like that they're like.
Because to me, I just kind of feel like if I can click on the DC button, it gives me everything DC. I need simply just because remember HBO Max has it to where you go in the DC tab and then they separate it inside of it: a Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and then A through Z. But if there's a whole nother tab that takes me just to Batman,
I don't think that's the case. I think you're overthinking it, in my opinion.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily like what it's going to look like in the HBO Max app. This is how they view their franchises,
which is scary.
Right, that's the scary part, right? Because the Trinity are the franchises, but that means Green Lantern probably they don't consider it a franchise, so that might not get any love for a long time. Same thing with some of these. Little bit. We'll see. We'll see if that sticks.
But yeah, I do think that 90 Day Fiancé universe was hilarious. Like, what? They're a universe?
A lot of people.
It's a lot of different spinoffs. There are spinoffs.
I didn't know that. Crazy. I did not know that.
I forgot that was a thing, honestly.
But what else stood out to you, Joel?
Just everything that was said, more or less, because like, I don't know. It's just without knowing the whole plan, it's easy to just and look. Whoever's being, the point is, no matter what they said today, there was going to be negativity towards it because of what happened. There was nothing they could say to truly take away the hate. unless they literally gave us a real news, which they're not gonna do. Not here.
Well, I told Trayvon the biggest problem was ourselves, because this was an investor's call.
Yeah.
An investor's call is never to appease the fans. It's
Right.
to appease the people that get paid through the company.
Right.
And that's exactly what they did. So
Right.
we took it as, well, they have to tell us what the fuck is happening. They took it as, mind your fucking business. This is an investor's call.
They told me more than I expected to know. Honestly, I didn't expect them to tell us that we have a 10-year plan. And a lot of people shit on that idea. What was the third 10-year plan? That's not the case. This is obviously someone. They've never told us they had a plan. They gave us one of those things that had all the pictures, all the things on it. And that was like contrary to what Snyder actually wanted to do, which is annoying in its own part. They never gave us the plan, realistically.
I agree. It lasted a day where that whole photo thing was something. And then they were just like,
We never did it again.
None of that. No more. But I mean, a 10-year plan, I don't shit on it. That's not my issue. My issue is just, I think you skip a step when you say 10-year plan. This step I thought was more important was knowing what is this universe, right? Like, what are we looking forward to this universe being?
Included?
Is it a reset? Is it a massive reset? Is it a soft reset? What is it? And then when you tell me that and then say 10-year plan, guess what? I come on here and I'm now trying to do what we did for Marvel. I'm trying to piece together what this 10-year plan can be. But when you just go, we have a 10-year plan, that's not telling me. That's telling me that you're focusing on building something. But to me, again, I'm not owed an explanation. That's not what I'm here to say. I'm just here to say I'm not willing to go overly critical or overtly positive because I have not been made clear on anything besides ideas we all assumed would be concepts. The objective is to grow the DC brand, to grow the DC characters, but also our job is to protect the DC brand, and that's what we are going to do. That in itself sounds good.
I'm about to say,
but again, how you implement that matters.
But we can't.
It does.
It's the problem with that statement is that it sounds amazing, but we don't trust them. And we 100%. Could be. And look, you're allowed to be negative about this whole thing because they haven't earned shit.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm just not that kind of person, so I'm gonna accept it as it comes. You know what I mean?
To me, I'm more so just I'm guarded. That's all it is. So like I'm not here kicking and screaming. I'm not here to say that David is a piece of shit. I'm not here to do any of that. I'm just here to say that if I'm asked, my answer will always be, I don't know. Well, are you excited for it? I don't know. Like, I don't first move. That's it. That's all I can say, right? It's the equivalent, Joel, to overspending on a player that we don't even think is that good, right? And then it's like, well, if you fuck up there, I have no, I can't give you my faith going forward.
You know what why I like the idea of like, the franchises, the focus will come back to Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. The only reason that excites me at all is because the last regime seemed to say, fuck the Trinity. And I'm like, what? That bothers the shit out of me. I'm like, you almost took Batman and Superman out of the equation completely.
So it's
like, so I'm like, this makes me feel better. Like, I know they're going to be involved, you know?
Mm-hmm. And
look, they have a team in place. Well, tell me who the team is. I'm very excited to know who the team is.
Yeah, and you know what? I want somebody that I can lay the good or the bad at the feet of. That's what I like. Because I like when I go, well, that movie was not good. And people go, well, Kevin didn't direct it. Kevin looked at it and stamped it. And that's how it got released. So to me, I need to know, is that David? Because if that's David, no problemo. Everything that's good, I'll celebrate him. Everything that's bad, I'll vilify him. I just need an individual entity that I know all this content comes through, right? All of it comes through you. You look at it and you go, let's do it. Or you look at it and go, no fucking way I'm doing this. But when you just say that there's a team, that just sounds like there's a revolving door of people you might throw under the bus. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want that. I don't want that. I want somebody. I won't say him, but I want somebody to take ownership of what the future of this DC universe is going to be. Because to me, that's important. That is.
Yeah. It's super, super important. It's just, And the worst thing I can tell you today is you gotta be patient because that's all we've been. All we've been is patient.
And you know what, Joel? I have no problem in that. But my question is, Black Adam comes out the end of this year. Shazam comes out. Aquaman, not this year, but I'm just naming movies that come out. Aquaman, Flash. My question is,
Aquaman's next year. Yeah.
No. I'm saying just movies that are coming out. I said this year to start. I'm sorry, but just movies, period, that are coming out in the next year or two. My question is, do I invest in these movies? Are you continuing these franchises going forward?
Right.
Because if not, I can't invest myself, right? Like I can't go into it going, oh shit, they did this. I can't wait to see how it plays out. And then tomorrow,
I think
there is
that
no
movie
plan.
will tell you if there's no post credit or if there's nothing that seems like there's a future to it, then obviously there's no plans. Like that's how I have to imagine.
Let me ask you this, because I think this is a fair question. I was just saying this to Mike. You know how they said they're changing the end credit scene from Keaton to Ben, right? To make it make more sense. They thought it did. The test screen said like it didn't make sense.
It wouldn't make sense.
But here's my problem. You could have just completely taken out the end credit scene or just moved it to coming out after The Flash.
True.
The fact that you retconned who that Batman is doesn't make things any clearer because when The Flash comes out, guess what it ends in? Michael Keaton being Batman. So it's like you're only just jumping the gun, but you're not avoiding it.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know what the plan is. You know, we don't know how does Keaton have a future as Batman. We don't know. We don't know what by reset. What are they resetting everybody?
Yeah,
you know, we don't know. Like, what's the reset mean?
They didn't mention the Batman, and
they did, and obviously the Batman's not going away.
Well, yeah, we all felt that was gonna be fine. Because again, he's talking about things that are making money, right? So it's like, well, I don't think there's been any wild negativity towards the Batman. Like it's a bad movie. I won't want to see anything else. Question becomes, God bless that marketing team for The Flash, because that first trailer that dropped was narrated by Michael Keaton. It ended with the footsteps of Michael Keaton. So now if you want to change the narrative of that, God bless you. Like,
I want to know what he means like by protecting DC brand, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it means like he views it the way we do. It should not be shitted on the way that it is.
No,
so maybe he's saying we're going to do better things to avoid it being shitted on. As part of that, we're going to focus on quality. We are not going to release any film before it's ready. DC is something we can make better. But to me, that's saying something that we have to now look back at the old regime and go, well, was that not a focus of y'all's? Like he's saying that as if like we're not just going to put out bad movies. It's like, well, thank you. Like that should have been from day one. You don't put out shit.
That's who puts out shit in the first place.
Right. And I was saying, Joel, before you jumped in, I really feel the only movie that truly fits that mold of just putting a movie out just to put a movie out is that first Justice League, the Joss Whedon cut. I felt as though they did not give enough care and concern to that movie.
It was rushed.
Right, but I feel as though the DCEU has had more good than bad. But you wouldn't know it by the amount of shit that gets talked.
The problem is the negative ones get so much hate. It clouds all the good that does come.
It does.
You forget.
You 100% forget. I was going through the list of their movies, and I'm like, they've done a lot. Bad. To me, I'm talking just quality wise. If people don't agree, that's not what this conversation is to debate it. Yeah. I just feel as though they've had more wins as far as quality films than duds. Like I really only hold the first Justice League and the first Suicide Squad against them. That's really it. Everything else I've been Wonder Woman 1984. Okay, we could throw that in there too. But just those three out of 12 movies I guess they've had. I've heard David,
especially recently.
Right. David wants DC to copy Marvel in the way that he's connected, which is what he talked about a 10-year plan. Very curious if they're going to pull this off with multiple Batman actors.
That's exactly right. How are they going to pull it off with multiple Batman actors? And unless they're like, Matt, we have to talk. Like,
I mean, look, if there's one thing we learned today, it's that David don't give a fuck. And David would be the person that come in and tell Matt Reeves, hey, fuck off. Like,
So-
He kept saying contractually, like he kept saying by contract. I was like, so he's one of those people that hold people
He will hold you to get what
to
you
those contract. Like he's not gonna be
No,
like, oh, you can go. No, you're like, no, you better get your ass here.
I feel like it'd be really easy to make the Batman a new universe. Like instead of trying to bring Pattinson into the DCEU, you spin off the DC universe from the Batman, right? Make that the first
Right.
movie in a new continuity.
Yeah,
And
agree.
I think Matt Reeves would be okay with that because he can tell his Batman trilogy, be done,
Right.
walk away. And if Pattinson still wants to be there, he can now do Justice League movies. That's what I think is going to end up happening.
I agree.
I'll even go a step further, Mike. I think you could do it the other way and just tell Matt Reeves to fucking get over it, right? Like, again, all you have to do is make the movie you want to make, and then guess what? I can go in and fill in an end credit scene. You don't have to do anything with the end credit scene. I'll take a team, we'll film the end credit scene, slap it at the end of your movie. But no one's saying that you have to put Henry Cavill Superman in the flow of your Batman movie. Like, no, and that's what I never understood about his rationale of, like, who told you that was necessary? Like, when you watch Shazam, Superman is headless at the end of the movie, damn near the end credit scene, right?
Yep.
So
And
it's
we
like,
still
at no
make fun of
point-
that to this day, though.
We do.
It is one of the funniest things that's ever happened.
It is, but there was nobody, like, the only connection you had of that movie with the others is when Billy opens the drawer to the newspaper clipping of BVS and the Batarang, and you go, oh, that's connected. I don't understand why Matt Reeves looks at that and goes, that's too tough for me. I don't understand how to navigate that.
I don't think
That's a lot.
I don't think it's tough. It's just only he wants to.
Apparently, they're gonna have an investor day.
Yeah.
At the end of the year.
Right. Yeah, I did hear that.
I don't think it's
which
Matt
hopefully we
Reeves
have more
necessarily. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Mike. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think it's necessarily Matt Reeves not being able to, not really wanting to. It's just, you look at what the DCEU was and how messed up the leadership was. He probably was like, hey, I want no part of that.
Right.
But if you reestablish and you have a plan and a goal, I'm sure he's flexible
And you
enough to work with
him.
Right.
Yeah, you might be able to talk. Because he did say, him mentioning, or I think Robert said that, mentioning the idea of having a Superman in their universe. If he's open to Superman, then
it was
because I think he said that they talked about it. It's like
it was Robert. So
case,
Robert was saying like, how do you do that in the world that they've built, right? And he was saying that that's something he's very interested in, is the idea of interacting with these other characters. But the question him and Matt kept like going back and forth of was like, how does it look? And to me, if that's a question, I feel as though you're not truly understanding what's being said. So what we're saying is that, again, we don't need Gotham to look any different, feel any different. We're not putting Superman in Gotham. And that's what I think keeps getting lost. Superman's not going to Gotham. So you don't need to make Superman fit with Batman.
I agree. You don't need any of those motherfuckers in that at all. I never need to see any other characters except Batman characters in the Batman movie, and then I'll be fine with that. You know what I mean?
100%.
But if they and the same thing with all the characters, honestly, like I don't need to see a lot of crossover. I just need them in their own movies doing their own thing. That's how the comics have been doing. How the cartoons did it for the longest time. We never complained. I mean, when they get together for what? Justice League or crossover?
I'm sorry, Joel. We have a perfect example that we just saw. Batman Long Halloween. That movie is very much its own thing. And me and you kept saying to each other, like, is this connected? It looks the same, but is it? And then you get to the end credit scene and you're like, well, that's solved.
Yeah, exactly.
We now know. We now know. So there is a way to do it where your movie, and I keep reminding people, Black Panther feels so different than where the MCU was at the time, right? It felt like its own thing. You didn't get the connectivity till the end credit scene where Bucky walked out of the hut. Outside of that, that movie wasn't dependent on anything else. That movie was very much its own thing, living within its own thing. Absolutely. So to me, it's like there's so many ways to do it where it does not affect your integrity. It does not put a bad spin on you. Because again, I think Reeves forgets, until Ben said I'm out, you are going to direct the DCEU Batman movie. So I'm like, you would have had to wrap your head around it then.
Yep.
So I'm like, it's not like that was avoidable. You would have had to wrap your head around that. But Trayvon, what were some of the things that to you that said? Because that's you. Hogwarts Legacy is safe, so you were good. Is that you?
Look, that made me so nervous. I was like, okay, how this gonna go? Like, they didn't mention anything about WB games or anything like that. So I'm assuming all that stuff is safe.
Yeah. Well, just separate. Like Montreal is kind of just its own thing, I guess. He's saying his focus is movies, though.
Because this is all
unless
movies.
they flip one of those shits into movies.
Like you saw, it said Warner Brothers TV, Warner Brothers Movies, New Line, Warner Brothers Animation, and DC under studios. Because it was just talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, but I'm saying they still own it as well.
Yeah, they own it. They own what's it called? Warner Brothers Games.
I mean,
yeah, there it is.
I mean, it was just saying, like I said, we were talking earlier about the thing, the studio, the brand versus the franchise breakdown makes me nervous about what they're focusing on. Like, yes, we know Batman, yes, we know Superman, yes, we know Wonder Woman, but there are more characters than that, and I was hoping we would eventually get to, since they own all of them, the fact that they own all of them, I was like, one day we will get to Zatanna. We will get to, people like that. Like, we need to get away from. I know people love, those three, but it's like we can move on at some point. Like,
well, I don't think we need to get past them. I think once you establish them, you then just start to focus on other things. But to me, that's a step you can't skip, right? Because that's just the easiest way to start your universe is by those three names. But once you do, now you tell the people, hey, there's a Green Lantern, there's a Martian Manhunter, there's a Hawkman, there's so many other characters. But you have to start with that.
I know, but I guess the problem I see is like, okay, we see, who knows what's going on with the Flash, what it was supposed to do, which I assume it will still do, I guess. I don't know. But with the Batman, yes, it's a great movie. But he also, I know you guys say it's not the same thing, but the vibe I got from when that movie was coming out or the way they talked about it, he wanted it to be not just like Nolan, but he wanted his own separate Batman world. Like, this is my thing over here. I don't see any supernatural things being in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see Superman, Poison Ivy.
I think you have to. What I think you have to value is the idea that the old regime was the closest to the Wild Wild West a movie studio could be.
Yeah.
Anybody that had Trayvon, there was a moment where they were making plastic movies. Yeah. And I had no fucking Green Lantern, right? So that was the Wild Wild West. Any idea you had, green lighted. It seems like David very much is going, will it make money? Let's put it to the test. Hey, room of people, do you think this will make money? No? Fuck off. So I don't think Matt has the same freedom he had a calendar year ago. I think David will go, hey, I wanted to connect, so if that means you got to open it up a little bit to kind of make it narratively fit or whatever the case may be, Matt will either do it or be replaced. David does not seem like a guy that will conform to Matt Reeves. Well, see, that's all I'm saying.
See, I think that's the... See, that sounds good until they're clashing and the director leaves. Like, it's just... I just don't know... The way he talked about it, very like by contract, and I'm like, okay, that sounds nice, but when you get a director that sounds how Matt Reeves is, he sounds like a director that will walk. He sounds like one of those.
You have to let him walk.
But it's like,
you have to let him walk.
But then it's. I don't know.
All I'm saying is, Trayvon, there was a day Ben was directing a Bat movie, and everybody in the world said that is the best fucking guy to do it, right? Then he said, I'm not directing. Then we all said exactly what you're saying now. Well, what the fuck do you do? Who do you go get? Who can direct it? Who's going to come in and bring the same integrity and care to the character? In comes Matt Reeves. And then the movie we got. So again, I keep trying to remind you, we can only know what the future holds if you allow a future to happen. So if Matt Reeves wants to go, guess what? There might be somebody that's just waiting to give you that fantastical Batman world that blends with a more grounded Batman. That's all I'm saying. So we have to see how it plays out. I'm just completely baffled by one of the slides from the earnings call. It says movies will come to physical media before streaming, and TV will go to syndication before streaming. I agree. I even said that 5 window, however long that was, made no sense to me, because if your movie can't generate what your target number is by that 45 days, you got more problems than it just dropping on streaming. You didn't do your job.
It's not even more focused, like I said, more focused on money. So it's like, if it's in theaters, then it'll go to a network that will have to pay for it, or like or Prime Video where you have to pay for it, $25, whatever. It sounds like they're more interested in that than putting it on a streaming service that they own, that they aren't like super confident in. Like, I don't know. It's just really, I don't know.
To me, I just think that you dropping it on streaming after 40-something days does no. If your movie has not generated enough money in 45 days, you extending it to 84 days does you no justice. If somebody hasn't seen it in 45, they're not seeing it in 80. So I'm like, you pushing it more, longer and longer and longer. Sure, because you have people that want to keep going and seeing it. Sure, but ultimately, it'll have hit its peak within a few weeks, is all I'm saying. So I don't understand how dropping it on HBO Max, whatever they're going to call this, after 40-something days harms you. That I don't understand.
I just don't want to go back to, what was it before, 6 months? Or stuff like that.
Marvel used to do that, and I hated that. I'm like, that's way too long. Yeah, I'm like, 6 months. And then, Trayvon, what made it worse is it would come out on HBO.
Yeah.
Before coming out on HBO Max. I'm like, the fuck? What am I paying for both of these things for? Like, one of them seems to be giving me more than the other. So it could be 6 months to a year after the film leaves theaters for it to come to streaming. And if a show has to go into syndication, that means it has to finish its run, which could take years. I agree, Caleb. You are spitting facts. Yeah. You are spitting straight facts. Again, unfortunately, Caleb, they know the numbers. We know the feeling. And in business, the two are never supposed to mix. So unfortunately, they will do what the dollar warrants, and we will complain because we don't give a fuck about the money they make. We want to consume the content. And David very much just did a full call by saying, fuck your feelings. I do what makes money. So now it comes after those two things can blend, right? We have to see if this 10-year plan blends with making money and appeasing fans, or is it just a money grab? And we've seen just money grabs work. They made like 8 fucking Transformers. So I'm like, clearly it can be done, right? Not really give a fuck about connecting, making sense, but they made money.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to see, how this all falls out. That's why I'm with Joel, and I'm not here screaming and losing my mind, but it very much is not me saying I have faith in anything David said today. No, on the contrary. I'm just now more skeptic of, okay, well, now I got to see how you implement it, right? Because I think what a lot of people forget is we only have next year, right? After next year, that's when this new plan needs to be implemented.
Right.
Starting 2024, January 1st, we need to see how that is being implemented. I'll give you next year, because next year is just a fucking amalgamation of shit, right? No problem. But 2024, January 1st, I better be hearing some kind of physical plan you show us.
Also, we haven't heard, I'm assuming there's no DC fandom.
I can't imagine there's not.
I'm assuming there's not.
I'm still waiting for someone to just come out and say that there's not. That's why I keep saying, I guess they could, or a version of it, because no one said to not expect it. Right? So it's like, well, you've given it to us the last 2 or 3 years. Are you going to say it's no longer happening?
I don't think it's just, I think they're just skipping this year.
I'm fine with that. That's fine. But to me, it's like, is this going to be a thing going forward? And since no one's talked about it at all, that's why I'm saying it's possible that they do a version of it maybe, and then next week they bring it back.
The thing you said earlier where you were like how they're like bringing in, does this make money, you guys? No, scrap it. I mean, I know, people are excited about Blue Beetle, but that's one of those movies they could say in that room, and those people could say, no, it won't. And they could scrap
100%.
that. So it's like,
100%.
that worries me. Oh, I know I'm not getting status shot. I'm already there. But,
yeah, you know.
but it's just, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't stress. I just let it come. You can't. Well, I don't see the point in like stressing about it because we don't know. There's too much we don't know to,
I mean,
I'll say this if it makes any sense. Don't stress, but I have no problem with you worrying. If that's a movie you were invested in, like you really wanted to see, I'm okay with you worrying because you look at it and you go, well, it kind of feels like the directors behind Blue Beetle are putting the same love that the director for Batgirl put behind his movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for us who have not seen anything of it, just a photo.
Yeah.
That photo was sustaining life for us of like, yeah, fuck it, we want to see this.
It was like, oh, they're actually filming it. That was the thing.
Right.
But now
there is something to worry about. I just agree in the sense of don't let it grow gray hairs. Because at the end of the day, they'll give whatever ruling they choose to give, and we'll just have to accept it.
That's true. I just
we don't know. We do not know.
Yeah.
We don't. But I will say this again. I don't really care about the bigger Warner Discovery merging, all that shit. To me, like I said, as long as they said AT&T stays intact, I don't pay for it. So if I paid for it, then I'd be like, I should be a lot more angrier because, how does it mess up what I want to see, how I see? But when you get shit for free, right? Like when someone gives you a plate of food and you didn't have to pay for it or cook it, you're like, well, I really like it, but I'm going to eat the fuck out of this because I didn't have to pay for it, right? But it's when you pay for it that you go, I definitely asked for no pickles, right? So to me with this, I kind of go, as long as I'm not paying for it, I will just ride the ride.
Yeah.
Right? But
I just knew that. I knew that shit was over. I was like, "Oh God."
I'm right with you.
I just knew that shit was over. I was like, "Oh God."
And shit, DirecTV ain't that good for me to go. Well, now I'm gonna.
HBO Max is $15 a month, man.
Hell yeah!
I was like, look, man.
And you know what's even crazier, Trayvon? You know what's even crazier? I felt like there was no guarantee that anything we've watched on HBO Max will still be a thing once this merges, right? So it's like, well, then I don't even have the faith in the shows that I like still being shows when you merge. So it's like,
you see how often Harry Potter is on there, and then it's off. It's on Peacock right now. Then it comes back. Then it comes. I'm like, what is going on with the rights? What is happening?
Them shits are being ping
ponged. Own it or what?
Them shits are getting ping ponged right now.
Crazy.
HBO Max has never been hotter. We're doubling down on that HBO team. Okay. Because I hear specifically say, like, well, if you're a fan of what's her name that does the that voices Harley Quinn in that series that's going on right now.
Haley,
yeah. They're like, oh, if you like Flight Attendant, I don't know. And I'm like, well, shit, that's one of my fucking shows right there. I need that shit to be safe. I also need that Josh Whedon show to be safe. I want a season 2 of that. That was a fucking phenomenal show. I haven't heard anything about
that though.
I heard that they were filming and that he completely walked away. And
he walked away
doing its own
he
thing.
walked away at the beginning of the last season. Like he walked away during the first season.
The first season.
I heard they were filming it. That's all I heard. And then I got nervous when the lead of it is supposed to be in a Marvel show this year. I'm like,
Well, again, we still don't know what that is.
I saw Euphoria up there, and I saw Peacemaker in the presentation. I said, okay, well, those things are safe.
Well, to be fair, it seems like Euphoria wins 20 Emmys a year. Right. So it's like, that's really hard.
It was this, because we kept hearing about the scripted shows thing. And I was like, what does that mean? Like,
there was a lot of bullshit the last one.
I was like, what do you mean?
That doesn't make sense to just tank that HBO. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I imagine it loses you more money than it makes you or saves you, right? So yeah, I mean, and look, James Gunn came, and apparently somebody said James Gunn deleted his tweet saying that Peacemaker was safe, but he did come out and say, "Don't worry,
Yeah,
It's all good. It's all good. And I did hear some people saying that the directors for Blue Beetle came out and said, "Don't worry, it's all good." So,
Well, he posted something, he tweeted something yesterday with him like on a hammock with the Beetle symbol. I'm like, he's chilling. So I'm like,
yeah. So he don't seem stressed. So we're supposed to assume that's safe too. So we pretty much learned a lot and a little, and then nothing really. So this was a very entertaining call.
Well, it's one of those things.
It really is. So here it is. Thank you, Mike. This is why Mike is freaking awesome. Is Peacemaker season 2 safe? Yes, guys, calm down. There we go. From James Gunn himself.
Issa Rae said something. That was
yeah, because remember she struck a massive deal with HBO. Yeah, massive deal.
I don't know.
So she might have been one of them people.
That was funny.
She might be one of those people that's like, "Hey, the fuck going on around here?"
somebody tweeted her and she was like, "Should we keep watching that shit?"
Oh, okay, Caleb. Thank you, Caleb. Okay, so there you go, Trayvon. That's why it keeps getting ping pong.
Wow.
Kind of feel like at some point, if you're Warner, you have to go, hey, no, this is just mine now.
When I saw the franchise there, I was like, okay, so that means y'all gonna use it, right? You're gonna make something new, like a show or something, like make something.
You want a show?
I want a series.
Not a show.
I want a series.
But I can see them doing more movies. It seems like the movies are making them money, so I can see them continue with that. I don't know about a show.
I want a series.
I kind of felt like a show should have happened already.
I don't know, the Ministry of Magic or the Marauders or something like that.
Like the Marauders. Yeah,
something like that. Something like that would be cool.
Just a Slytherin show. I'm fine with just a Slytherin show. But I kind of feel like a show should have happened by now. And I'm very curious as to why one hasn't. That's why I was a little skeptical on maybe a show. But definitely more movies I can see in the future with HBO. But Joel, is there anything else? Because I feel like we touched on everything. We told them that this wasn't going to be a long stream. This was kind of just give a overall thoughts on what was said today. But again, this day was not specifically for DC.
Right. This is all about 90 Day Fiance. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
We know that they're now a universe.
We know it's safe. Right. Now it's the own universe. Everything is good in the world. So
yeah, we know Shark Week is safe. We know all these things. That was good.
That's all I was worried about.
Yeah, all the other shows like Naked and Afraid or Naked Fighting the Teddy Bear, like whatever. We know those are safe.
Yeah, that was that was funny yesterday.
Hey, Issa Rae, is there any point to watching rap shit, or is Discovery giving you the boot too? You should watch that shit, Dr. Fat Cock. New episode tonight. Issa Rae is a fucking gem. She is a fucking gem. But all right, guys, that's all we have for you. We told you this would not be super long. This would be relatively short. We just wanted to kind of cover some of the bases. Hopefully some of these trades comes out with more information over the course of the next few days. And if they do, next Monday at 9:00, we will be breaking all of it down. You know what I mean, Joel. You know how like some things might get like leaked out of that 10-year plan and the trades might pick some of it up. That's more so what I mean. Like we might hear some things like that. Because I find it hard to believe we won't hear anything between now and December. I find that very hard to believe. Somebody's going to leak some kind of shit, or David might come out and say something, as he should. Don't let this end. Don't let this year end like this. Don't do that. don't do that at all. Also, don't do that to Black Adam and Shazam. They deserve better.
We all do.
Let us ride high as we get to the end of the year and those movies.
Yeah, hopefully we end it on a bang. Let's go.
I hope so. Like, tell Joel that you are not making another movie till Green Lantern gets made. That's how you end the year in a bang. That's how you do it.
It was Green Lantern. Why are you hiding it from us? Damn it.
And I want to know about that show. I swear to God, that show's going to turn out like that Hulu Squirrel show, Joel.
That's another thing that came out today. Is because the rumor today was that it was canceled. It's been canceled, right? For like months. Like, oh, duh. Like everything else is canceled. But then apparently they got confirmed that it has not been canceled yet.
Which is weird because we heard they started filming and that was it.
No, they were going to start filming, and then I haven't heard shit about it since then. Right. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Which is weird because didn't Finn Wolfhard?
He was training. There it is. Andy Bearbach.
It's okay. Andy is good. I know there's a report going around that Green Lantern TV show has been canceled, but I just confirmed with HBO Max and Warner Brothers TV, they have debunked the story. Green Lantern has not been canceled. Carry on.
Awesome.
Okay, that's great.
That's great.
But again, here's the important part of that.
That's a show.
That show was supposed to be the precursor to the movie, right? So now I need to know, is that still a fucking thing? Because I'm like, I don't know how much interest I put into this show if it's not just a precursor to whatever the movie's gonna be.
Mhm.
If it's just its own thing with Green Lanterns, I personally just don't hold in the highest of regards.
It
My
should.
focus now goes back to John and Hal.
The only reason I
Just give me
assume that it was connecting to a movie is because it did leave Hal and John out. So it's like,
right.
there's only you only do that if they're leaving them for the movie, and you only do that if the plan is to connect the two, or else what's the point? You have to.
I agree. So hopefully some of these questions get answered. Trayvon, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I can't think of anything else. No, because I'm just really curious on what little stuff's going to come out from now until I guess the end of the year when they do apparently what he said in a year we'll have the Investor Day, but that's when they'll, I guess, unveil what the name of this service is going to be, and it'll be actually out.
Discovering HBO. There you go.
We currently don't have a name, but we'll get one by next year.
Yeah.
It is Discovering HBO.
I'm seeing two contradicting tweets going on at the same time on my screen. Someone saying that that they never actually say that DC is becoming a studio, that we misheard. And then the next tweet under is the picture where it says studios and DC's under studios. So I'm like,
that'd be amazing. A studio for would be good.
And we already heard that they wanted to make
that's a plan. Yeah, you have to believe that that's a plan.
We heard that they were going to make it its own studio.
Yeah.
Like during the press conference when they first merged or for whatever, when they said, remember the Superman news? So
yes.
Where's Superman? It was during that because they want a head for DC, they want a head for Warner Brothers Animation, and they wanted Warner Brothers movie studios to be separate.
Right.
All their own.
Very smart of them. It would be very smart of them to do that.
I agree.
Yeah.
It
Right
helped
now,
Marvel out a lot. Yeah, it helped Marvel
There
out
it
a
is.
lot.
See, look,
So.
there's 5 of them right there. That's the first one's WB Studios. The next one's the television, right? Television group.
Yep.
Third is DC. New Line is obviously that's where Black Adam and Shazam are at, and then you have WAG, which is animation.
Yeah. So we hope this gets answered soon. Like I said, by the end of the year. Again, there's no DC big DC movie till towards the end of the year, so I can put them out of my head for now.
Yeah.
Till I get closer to the movie.
Black Adam. I thought it was October, right?
Yeah. So
it is October. I guess you can.
Shazam is at the end. Shazam is December.
Anything after
October
September
21st.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. But once after September is over, it's like, well, we're close to the next year.
Exactly. Once I get past the fall, it's almost done, guys.
To be fair, our birthdays are in August, so once August is done,
yeah. Once my birthday's up,
it's a whole new year anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I want to thank. It is, Joel. It is. I want to thank Joel. I want to thank Trayvon for joining me to break this down. We told you guys it wouldn't be super long. I want to thank everybody in the comment section. Caleb, you are a rock star with that info you were putting. I appreciate his plays. And of course, the oracle behind the scenes, Mike, freaking rock star.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you always. And guys, we will at some point, either today or tomorrow, be having a video drop of us breaking down those two very out of the blue, quote unquote, announcements by both the showrunner and Oscar Isaac for Moon Knight and fucking Patton Oswalt.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently Patton Oswalt saw
Same day.
September. Yeah, apparently he went to the future, saw September, and then came back and said, well, it's been announced. No, it hasn't. So we'll break that down in the video. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. You take care too.
Yes,
please hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Tell us, guys, what you'd like us to do more podcasts about, whether it's topics, whatever the case may be. Those are usually reserved for our Sunday shows, but we'll take it under and we'll pop out some content for you guys. Let us know down below. And check out The Last Scare tonight.
Yeah.
Jayla put up like 3 different times, Mike. I don't know what my Eastern time is. I keep telling her, don't give me more than one time zone. But I think it's 8:30 tonight, right, Mike? Mike?
Yes, it's
8:30.
easier for me to say it instead of typing it. Yes, 8:30 tonight.
8:30 Eastern, guys. Tune in for the last scare. They do freaking epic things over there. Make sure you guys check that out. But till next time, guys. Peace.
Peace. Love that.
That's all, folks.
Yeah.
That didn't turn out